How to click back into war mode. Ever since my school and exam season has ended, I've been out of this war mode, and as Hamza said, under peaceful conditions, the warlike man attacks himself. I have realized my answer to relapsing, watching porn, and not doing the good habits, procrastination, etc., is all bad mental health. Currently, I'm 17 years old, living under my parents, so traveling to different places and changing my environment, I don't have exactly the most broad selection. Fair enough. This peaceful condition phase has really affected my brain. I'm being more resentful towards the girl I'm speaking to. I'm smiling less. I'm not going hard in the gym. I'm not taking my own religious practices seriously. I know the answer already is a bad mental health, but how do I get out of this? Exam season is over. I don't have any studying to do. There is still a lot of time, approximately 4 months, for me to go back to school and give my exams. And I honestly know that this period of time is going to ruin me. Yeah, so many guys do pretty well when they're in school and they're consistently, seeing the girls in school, and you have to study for the exams, and you've got to, manage your time and go to the gym, so you've got less time for scrolling porn, video games. And then it's in the summer holidays where, since you've got so much free time, you end up just stumbling and doing so many of those bad habits. There's a phrase from the Bible, it's something like, idle hands are the devil's work, which basically just means that when you have free time and you're sat around doing nothing, that's when you'll sink into degeneracy, and you'll be scrolling on your phone, looking at porn and whatever. So as young men, we want to be busy basically 24/7, and included as part of that, by the way, let me just give you a caveat, is, for example, adequate rest, going to sleep for 9, 10 hours a day, maybe having a nap, whatever. So I don't mean to tell you to get into like hustle culture, work 24/7, but you should be doing something productive every minute of the day. You should not be spending a single minute unproductively. It doesn't make sense when you're a young person and also you're ambitious. It doesn't make sense to have an unproductive minute of your day. And of course, by this I also mean, for example, if you go for dinner with your friends, that's productive because you're leveling up your social skills, you're co-regulating with other friends, whatever. But I basically just mean that 0 minutes of your day should be wasted on bullshit that is barely enjoyable and is terrible for you, like porn, video games, junk food, those kinds of things. When the pressure of school is gone and you're in your summer holidays, or for the guys who are a little bit older and you maybe have like a few days off from work, it's usually the weekends for most normal guys who work like 9 to 5 jobs, that's when they sink into degeneracy. So we need to find a way for Muhammad here, we need to find a way that he can still act with that intensity that he was whilst he was in school, but without actually being in school. The girl I'm currently speaking to has traveled out of the country on her own, so I'm not sure of it that if she saw me in the current stage I'm in now, she would have changed feelings about me and get disgusted by me. I'm going downhill, but it's not too bad. I'm still able to be disciplined on my diet and socializing with some friends every now and then. But it's getting worse. I'm getting urges to stop doing these habits of my self-improvement journey. I hope, Hamza, you can make a video on this. My life is getting miserable and I can't be more disappointed at myself. Set yourself deadlines for goals, like getting muscular until the end of summer. Use someone else's physique as reference. And also have some masculine friend who keeps you accountable to your promises. This advice is usually good. It is good general advice, but not for this situation. This situation is an abundance of free time. And the gym, bodybuilding, only needs to take about 2 hours a day? 10, 20 minutes to get ready, get to the gym, 1 hour workout, 1 hour, 15-minute workout, come back, okay, boom. We need something that we can fill about 4 to 6 hours a day with. If you had something productive that you could do for about 6 hours a day, you would be so busy that you wouldn't be at home just scrolling and doing all the bad habits. The gym is not good enough for this, like gym in terms of resistance training, bodybuilding, because you're only going to go to the gym for 2 hours, for example, 3 hours. When my guy criticizes me for not working on my goals like I said I would, it starts a fire of ambition and motivation inside of me. I'm in a similar phase right now. Post-exam season, in a new house I've never worked hard in before. I feel a similar thing. I can't tell if it's because I'm out of exam season or because the last exam season was so brutal, it fried me a little. But my plan is to go on a massive hike on Sunday or Monday, spend all day in nature, just dopamine detoxing and not consuming shit on my phone, then come back and tackle my business. So this is a great plan. Doing things like this, like once a week, go on a hike, go on like a long distance run for like 10, 20 kilometers, go on an adventure. Once a week, if you can save up some money, go take the train to like the nearby city, or go take some public transport to the city, or even to the capital city of your country. It might take you like 4 hours to get there, and then go spend an entire day there and come back at nighttime. I know that seems like so effortful, and wait, what? I'm not going to go to like London by myself. But if you did do that, that would be the most memorable day probably of your entire year. There's actually nothing stopping you, especially if if it's not so far away and it happens that public transport in your country is affordable for you. At the minimum, if you go to the cities close to you, the big cities, you just go for the day. You tell your parents, yeah, I'm just going to go on an adventure. I'll be okay, don't worry. It's time for me to like become more of a man now. And you just go start taking this public transport by yourself to the nearby cities, then further and further away. You're there all day. You take your journal, your book, your phone, your charger, maybe even your laptop. And you just get there and you think about what you want to do. Okay, right now I'm kind of hungry. I'm kind of tired, right? That train journey was kind of exhausting. I was on there for like an hour. So I'll go to a cafe. Then you get like a coffee. You sit in there. It's the morning time. There's some girl sat there reading a book. So you go up to her and say, "Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt you. Can I just ask what book are you reading?" And she tells you it's I don't know, like fucking some erotica shit, like dragon porn or some shit. Oh, that's crazy. So, oh, right. So, 21 inches. Whoa, that's crazy. You're not just taking interest in what she says. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'm reading this book right now. I'm reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have you read it? And, you just gauge her interest. And if you can tell she wants to go back to a book, which is fine, then you say, okay, I'll let you get to it. Thank you for answering my question. Boom. You're in a happy mood. You order your coffee. You speak to the waitress behind the till. You say, oh, good morning. How are you doing today? Can I ask, are you from this city? And she goes, yeah, why? You go like, oh, I'm from this other city. I've just took the train here today. I'm only 17 and I've just come here today. It's my first time in this city. After I have this coffee, what do you think I should do? What do you think would be fun for me to do as like a young guy? And, you just get advice from her, right? Imagine in the space of you going to get a coffee for like 5 minutes, you spoke to like 2 girls already. Just imagine that. Now imagine you're in the city for 8 hours, for 10 hours. If you go there super early and you come back at like 8 p.m., you're there for like 10 hours. You could speak to reasonably, minimum 5 to 10 people. Maximum, there's nothing stopping you actually from speaking to about 30 people. You could literally set like a high volume goal to go speak to 30, like to get into 30 conversations and you check them off on your phone. Imagine the stories you'd have if you just did that once a month. So that's something that I really recommend young people to do a lot. It sounds so cliche, but I really think traveling is so good. And of course, if you're a young person, you probably can't travel to like other countries, which is fine. But you can travel to other cities inside of your country. If you're young right now, 15, 16, I would recommend that you start traveling to the other cities in your country. Get some fucking memories. Get some stories. End up in some fucking new place. And let's say, like, for some reason, the train gets cancelled or some shit, and you have to figure out how to get back home and whatever. Like, just shit like that develops you as a young man. So that's something that you can do, which will fill up like an entire day every now and then. You might not do this so consistently like once a week, but you might do this like once a month. And so that's something that you can do which will be memorable, and it's like a story, which is nice, and I recommend this to young people. But it's not really going to help our friend Mohammed here, who's just got like an extra 6 hours free every single day, because he's not going to do this every single day. Let's see the final comment on this post from Dimitar. He said, remind yourself you are in a war with other men for women, status, money, which is true. You can also visualize someone exactly like you in your mind, but he always goes to the gym, always speaks to the girl, always tries the new business or reads a book. He never watches porn or eats junk food. Try to compete with him like he's your worst enemy. You only claim victory against him in a day where you beat your personal best, like an amount of push-ups. Yeah, this is probably the best comments on this post, so I'll pin this one. So here's my advice for anyone who is experiencing this thing. Let's say you've got an abundance of free time, and naturally, because it's free time and you're not in school anymore, you've got summer holidays or whatever is happening, you're just spending the free time unproductively, and you're realizing, yeah, this is fucking shit. Like, I'm not even having that much fun, but my dopamine's getting all fried. I'm scrolling, I'm watching porn. It's not enjoyable, and it's bad for me. So this is the simple advice. We specifically just need to fill up that block of time, which is probably like daytime to nighttime. Let's say you're on average, most of the followers I have, we wake up, we maybe do a bit of work in the morning, and then we go to the gym pretty early on. You might be different, but let's just say that if that's the case, let's say you come back home from the gym at like 10 a.m. and you've got almost nothing else to do till like your bedtime at like 10 p.m. So we have this entire block of time that we just need to fill her up with things that are better for us. So this is why, for example, me telling you like, oh yeah, go build like an aesthetic body, go to the gym. It's not going to be so helpful because one, most guys who watch me and especially this channel are already going to the gym, and two, it doesn't take that much time. We've got loads of free time. So what do? There's a handful of things. I think that you should read books for a good few hours every single day. I'm talking minimum 2 hours, but even up to about 4 hours a day. And if you can read in public, like for example, you take your book out to like a cafe or something, and you just order like a coffee, it's $3 or whatever. I think that can make it better because then you've got more chances to speak to more people when you're there. You have to leave your house. When you if you go sit in a cafe, for example, you're not going to be watching porn or scrolling or whatever, compared to if you're like reading at home and it's so easy to just grab your phone and interrupt yourself. So I think reading for a few hours is a great time fill. It will practice your attention span, your ability to focus. I speak to a lot of people, adults, who when I tell them I read for a few hours, they're like, what? Oh, I can't even read. And I get like so embarrassed for them. I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, oh, I couldn't do that. Like, oh, I just lose focus. I'm like, you're all like fucking children these days. You're all like fucking ADHD children these days. You can't even sit and read a book for like 2 hours straight. What the fuck? It's embarrassing, right? But I always say the same thing. I'm like, how do you think you'd be able to read? Yeah, by reading, right? If you think right now, wait, Hamza, you're telling me to read for like 2 hours. There's no way I could do that. My brain can't focus. The way that you get to that point is by reading, right? So you read for 10 minutes, then your brain gets tired. Then you try reading for another 15 minutes, whatever. You're training your attention span. You're keeping the phone away from you. Boom. Okay, that's like 2 hours filled up. Then maybe some journaling. Maybe you start like writing about your goals, whatever. I wouldn't recommend journaling these days as much as I used to, because what I've realized is, for myself and for many of the guys who watch me, journaling can often turn into overthinking. It's often better to like not think about stuff and to just kind of go with what your instincts are telling you, like your gut feeling is telling you. But I still think that like every now and then a 1 hour sit down where you ask yourself like some intelligent, intellectual questions can be beneficial. Or you write down like what's on your mind, or you write down something you want to process, like you want to write the story of like, how your parents hurt you or something. And it's almost like trauma, emotional releasing when you write it down and you feel like, all the emotions are coming back up, but now you're actually processing them properly. So that's something you can do. The biggest thing, I'm looking over at my phone, the biggest thing you can do to keep yourself safe when you're doing this is to just put your phone away. Most of the bad habits we do is always just on our phones. We're scrolling on social media, we're watching porn, we're texting girls who don't even, they're not even interested in us, right? And I've actually cracked the code on how to use your phone less. Your phone, this is like the first time I'm giving this analogy, right? Your phone is like a 2 out of 10 fat girl, or like a crackhead. Imagine we take that 2 out of 10 girl, let's say she's not attractive at all, right? But let's just say she happens to be like clean. Like, let's say we take her, we put her in your bedroom, she's bent over, ready for it 24/7. Now she's a 2 out of 10, it's not attractive, you don't want to. But imagine if there was a girl who wasn't attractive, but she was literally just bent over 24/7 in your bedroom, and let's say, no one would hear you if you live with your parents, whatever. You'd probably still end up smashing her like fucking 3 times a day, even though you don't even want to, even though she's not attractive, just because it's like, she's just kind of there, right? Anytime your dick randomly gets hard, you'd be like, okay, fuck it, we're gone, whatever. If we took that same woman, that 2 out of 10, we took her out of your room and we put her out on like a street corner, and you had to speak to her publicly and get her to come back to your place, then you wouldn't. She's just so unattractive, you wouldn't even think of speaking to her. You wouldn't want to be seen with her, so you wouldn't end up having sex with her. Just by how easy we've made her, how frictionless we've made this woman, it would 100x how many times you would sleep with her. And your phone is like that. If your phone is here next to your hand, if it's right next to you, if you're holding it in your hand, it's so easy for you to just click the app on Instagram, whatever, and spend another 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours scrolling. So easy. But if your phone is turned off and put away, like it's in somewhere in your bedroom, or it's in your mother's fucking bedroom, for example, or it's in like, your parents' wardrobe, or you put it in like the study inside of your house or whatever, you put it somewhere away, then I'm telling you, you'll have blocks of time for like 3-4 hours a day where you won't even think about it. You'll just be engaged on like what you're doing, like reading or working on your computer. So the way to lower your screen time, I finally figured it out, is not any of these random apps like tracking your screen time or using those apps that like block Instagram or anything, because everyone who uses them, they always end up relapsing again. The specific way to use your phone less and to engage less in this degeneracy is to just keep it away from you. If it's next to you, just like the unattractive girl who's been over 24/7 wanting you, you're going to end up fucking doing it. You're going to end up doing it. But as soon as you add that friction, then you're not, because it's just like effort and you kind of forget that thing kind of exists. So for most of us, the bad habits that we do when we're sat by ourselves is just the degeneracy that comes from our phone, the time wasting, putting our attention into like random bullshit, social media and porn and all those things. You keep your phone turned off, keep it away from you, and that will at the very least put you in the state where you're kind of bored. And you might be sat there thinking to yourself, like, okay, well, I've got nothing to do. And that's actually okay. Like when you're bored, your brain's actually developing. When you're bored, you're getting creative ideas for things that you could use to help you with your goals. And when you're bored, it's like your brain and your body are kind of regulating and getting back to the level they should be at. It's when you're bored and you grab your phone, that's when, your dopamine's getting fucked up, your attention span's getting fucked up. So if you make that change, you'll find that you'll have even more time, and you'll get rid of like the worst form of degeneracy, of like procrastination and dopamine that you've got around you 24/7. Next after this is like the standard advice that you probably knew I was going to say. Like, for example, you could go join a club and you could go start training martial arts twice a day, for example. Let's say you've got this free block of time, like 6 hours free every day, 8 hours free every day, some in the morning time, some in the evening time. There's nothing stopping you from training twice a day in the martial arts gym. It's not actually overtraining. Every guy who trains like martial arts, especially every guy who's about to fight in the next few months, and especially pro fighters, they all train 3, 4, 5 hours a day. It's actually not overtraining at all. It's overtraining when you train in the weightlifting more than like an hour, hour and a half. Yeah, there's not too much like volume you can do in weightlifting. It's very hard to recover from. But with things like martial arts, it's actually completely fine to start with like 2 hours a day. It's actually not crazy at all to do that, especially if you're already a bit of an athlete, you're already going to the gym. So why don't you just go boxing twice a day, jiu-jitsu twice a day? I'd probably choose like boxing or kickboxing, MMA, whatever. Just choose one of those, whatever gym club is nearby. And I know signing up to a club seems kind of daunting, like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to go there. I don't know where it is. How does the first session work, whatever. Most guys who want to train, they end up just kind of procrastinating it for ages. But it'll be so good for you. You know, the biggest reason why like going to the martial arts club is good, and it's so silly, but the biggest reason why is because it just gets you away from like porn and your phone, honestly. Like it's great for you, for exercise and confidence, whatever. But that'll be a good few hours of your day where you're just away from like your phone. Basically, you're gonna have to get ready, then commute to the gym, then you train for like an hour, then you kind of finish up, grab your bag, come back home. Even though it's a 1 hour session, it's probably more like a 2 hour block of time. And if you do that twice a day, that's it's 4 hours just gone where your heart has gotten healthier, your cardio's gotten better, you've gotten leaner, your jawline looks better, your six pack looks better, you've also gotten more confidence in case there's anyone tries to step up on you, fucking, in the future, any crackhead comes up to you or some fucking guy or whatever. It's like you've got a little bit of a ability to defend yourself, so you feel more confident. Right? It's a lot better than just sitting around and just going on your phone. Like overall, after the next 4 months, for example, the version of you that just sits at home in your free time, he's just going to be like this standard young man who's got a shit attention span, who watches porn and doesn't use like correct grammar or punctuation. And the version of you that gets away from your phone and gets out into public and, runs or cycles to the martial arts gym 2, let's say even 3 times a day, that will put you back into war mode. Why not? This is the thing about guys like us, like if you're watching this, We really should be in war mode. I found myself, like, this is why this guy said a quote that I like, which is, under peaceful conditions, the warlike man attacks himself. When you don't have like a war, when you don't have like this big goal, and I'm not talking like just your physique, because again, like your physique only needs to take like an hour a day. When you don't have like this 6 hour to 10 hour grind every day, we guys like us, bro, we'll end up just chasing dopamine on our phone, and we don't even stay at the same level because of that. We get worse. So even though it sounds crazy what I'm saying, bro, imagine your the next 4 months of your life, where in one case, okay, you go to the gym and you're just focused on your bodybuilding, whatever, and okay, your physique looks better, fine, but you've also ate quite a lot of shitty food and you've got a bit of acne and whatever, and your body fat's kind of high. And also your brain's all fucked up, your dopamine's all fucked up. You've got this weird, like, young person's kind of like fucked up mental health, and you've got this weird dark cloud over you, like most young people do, where they're just kind of retards. They've like looked at the internet too much. 4 months from now, it's like your physique looks a little bit better. Congratulations. Maybe some people in your school would notice, maybe they wouldn't. Boom. That's like basically all you'd gain in the next 4 months. Imagine if you trained 3 times a day for the next 4 months. So imagine if you did 1 bodybuilding session for your physique, and then 2 boxing sessions, or 2 wrestling or jiu-jitsu or kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever. Imagine that. Imagine now your day's basically filled up. You're still going on your phone a little bit, but it's kind of like in between sessions. Like, let's say if you train in the martial arts club 2-3 times a day, you'll still be on your phone every now and then, when you're having a shit in the morning, whatever, which is still not good for you, right? But you'll have to get ready and go to the gym. Right? And when you come back, you'll eat, you'll be tired, you'll scroll on your phone for like an hour, let's say, worst case scenario. But then you'll have to get ready and go to the gym again soon. Just see how, like, that would be so good for you. For guys like us, I know that some normal guy could be watching this. Some kid who, like, never got traumatized by his family. He'll be watching this thing and, wait, what? Like, training 3 times a day? Are you guys insane? Oh, that's crazy. Like, but that's the type of guy who isn't jacking off, like edging for like 2 hours a day. That's the type of guy who isn't scrolling for 3 hours a day on Instagram, right? If you're this type of guy that I'm speaking about, like this dopamine addict, we need to basically put you in the position where you can't be just scrolling on your phone. We need to put you in the position where you are physically away from your phone. And the gym is awesome for that, because in the gym, you're not going to be watching porn like in your fucking rest sets, right? I know you can be silly and say, yes, I am, but like, you're not, right? But so when you're in the gym, when you're doing bodybuilding, okay, it's awesome, because now you can be a bit more social. You're still listening to music. Maybe you're even like, using your phone in between sets, but you're kind of like out of the house. You're not doing the worst dopamine habits like porn or scrolling or whatever. Okay, good. Actually, there's a girl who goes to my gym who scrolls in between. No, sorry. She scrolls. I swear to God. There's a girl who goes to my gym who scrolls not in between sets, but through her set. I am not taking that. Like, I swear to God, right? So I saw her, and she's kind of sexy, actually. I saw her, and I saw like she had a phone. She's got like one of those, like, those sticky cases where you can like stick your phone onto like something metal or whatever. So she stuck her phone next to the cable machine, and then she had like shorts on it. And so she grabbed the cable, like the rope attachment. She grabbed it in like one hand. She went over to her phone, loaded up a new short, like she scrolled once, and then did her set. And then once like she was done with this, 10 seconds in, she like basically ruined the set, took a step forward and got the next one in. And then sometimes I saw her just like watching the same one on repeat every time. And then it was most absurd, because then she came next to me and she was doing back extensions, where you kind of like, you go onto this kind of platform thing and you kind of bend forward and backwards. And obviously when you bend forward, you're close to the ground. So when she's close to the ground, then she fucking scrolls. And I went up to her and spoke to her. And yeah, fucked the shit out of her the same day. So yeah, so look, for guys like us, when we have free time, we turn into fucking retards. Okay, you have to just stop. You have to have like this busy. You have to have this grind. So, what I would recommend, basically, you just need a few things in your life. You need to think of an idea right now. What is one thing that you could completely and utterly obsess over, where if you did it for like minimum 3 hours, but maybe even 6 hours from now, within a few months and years, you would turn into the kind of man you want to be. Like, if you just visualize this right now, think about how old you are. Think about the next 1, 2, 3 years of your life. Think about the kind of man you want to be. Like, visualize him. And think about what high volume activity you could do that would make you more like him? What high volume activity? So you probably saw a guy who was in great shape, and that will, by the way, it will come from the bodybuilding, the weightlifting workouts. So you're going to keep going to the gym, lifting, eating protein, lifting weights. Okay, boom, done. Fair enough. But there'll be something else as well. Maybe it's that you see yourself ultra masculine like a UFC fighter. You see yourself like, winning fights, and your family come out and they cheer for you, and you've got a lean six pack, and you're in flow state as you fucking knock a guy out and whatever. And you love to train, you love to be fast and have like an agile body, which is like a weapon. Then maybe it's martial arts. Maybe you see yourself more in like a sort of peaceful situation, and you see yourself like, as such a calm, peaceful kind of guy. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe you start meditating like a monk. You start meditating for 4 hours a day, right? Think about what version, like what kind of person you want to be, and think about the activity that would take you there, and then do it high volume. Like I'm talking minimum like 3 hours a day. Because if you've got the, look, technically, like we physically have the time for this stuff, right? We physically have the time for it. So why not? Why not, bro? Like if all of us have got minimum 3 hours of screen time, right? Minimum. So we have 3 hours free a day. All of us do. Even the kids who are still in school right now, we still have like 2 to 3 hours every single day that we're not using efficiently. We're just wasting 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 1 hour there, 1 hour screen time, texting 4 girls who we're not even that interested in, whatever. So we've got the time. And so right now we're spending time on stuff that basically the time just kind of disappears. Like you'll never see that time again. If anything, it's even worse than that, because it's not just a loss of time. It's time that we're spending that is actually making us worse people, more degenerates, more, dopamine addict, ADHD, shitty attention span. So literally the bare minimum for us would be, okay, go spend 6 hours a day doing nothing. Because that's literally better than spending 6 hours a day on our phones, right? So imagine 6 hours a day, you like dopamine detox, you put your phone away, you just sit and you just fucking stare at your wall. That would probably drive you insane, I know, but that you would be literally better off doing that than what you're doing right now. Like if I put you in jail for 6 hours a day, you would be better off, right? Think about how crazy that is, because all of us are just like, we're basically self-harming with like our phones and everything. So the bare minimum should be that we spend like 6 hours a day just away from these devices, just sat there. Then you might be thinking, okay, well, that's fine. It's the bare minimum, but it doesn't feel that beneficial. How can I make it better? Well, then you maybe spend hours every day walking. Maybe you go set a goal for 20, 25, 30,000 steps a day, and you walk for fucking 3 to 5 hours a day. I know that sounds crazy, but again, imagine the stories, imagine the places you'd see, imagine like how many people you'd speak to. And when you're out walking, you're not going to be scrolling, you're not going to be watching porn. Hopefully you can walk in nature, and then that will improve your mental health. Maybe you'll end up walking past a fucking beautiful girl, and then she becomes your girlfriend, right? You're not going to meet your girlfriend sat at home. And as much as like young guys love to like try and rizz up girls on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, that you're like, oh, you go on Instagram, maybe find a girl you've never spoke to and try and find, girls who have tagged their location in your city or some shit. We've all done that, and it's fucking so cringe. Instead of doing that shit, maybe you go on a fucking 20,000 step walk. It'll take you like 3 hours or something crazy, right? And maybe you just try and speak to as many people as possible. Maybe you listen to podcasts and audiobooks. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just let yourself think. You keep your phone ready, maybe a journal, and you write down some things. That's the stuff that's going to change your life. So just think about like what kind of person you want to be, what kind of life you would enjoy. What would you enjoy the most, and what would most importantly develop you into the kind of person you want to be? If you're anything like me, martial arts, walking, meditation, reading, these are the kind of things that I think are really good for guys like us. And I also, now that I'm a bit more older and wise, I think that physical activities are actually a lot better than the intellectual ones. If you're the type of guy, let's say I give you 2 options. Okay, you can spend like 6 hours a day at the martial arts gym, maybe training 3-4 times a day. Or you can spend 6 hours a day journaling and meditating. The guy who journals and meditates will be kind of weird. He'll be the kind of guy who, like, he's not very attractive, in a year or two. He's got some weird gay long hair, but not like, the TikTok boy attractive hair, but like gay kind of hair. He's kind of socially weird, whatever. And yeah, he's read like a lot of books, but his life's still kind of shit, weirdly, even though he's read so many books and he's meditating and stuff. He's still broke as well. He's still kind of jacking off and whatever. He's still a bit of a fucking loser, right? He's not a G. I've noticed now that the guys who go too much into the sort of intellectual activities, like listening to podcasts and audiobooks and reading too much. And especially, like, I think reading's great. I think reading for a few hours is really good for you, but especially reading weird shit. So there's like reading self-help, which I think is so good for you. Reading business books, productivity books, awesome for you. But it's when you start reading, like when guys start reading hours a day on like philosophy and stuff, that's when they turn into fucking weirdos. And you always see those guys, and then they come to me and they're like, they talk about philosophy and stoicism all the time, and they talk about like Carl Jung and all this, and then they'll come to me asking for advice on like, oh yeah, I jack off like 3 times a day, and I'm like, and I'm just like, oh, these guys, they act a lot like, oh yeah, I'm so philosophical, I understand the works of Jung and Freud or whatever, and then they're still fucking beta males. So this is gonna sound a bit cringe, but I would tell you, Rook, if you've got loads of free time, do the activities that would turn you into more of like an alpha male rather than a beta, right? Just think about that for a second. Do the activities that 6 months from now, 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now, you'd feel like an alpha. So you'd feel attractive to women and you'd feel respected by men. Martial arts, fighting, gym, adventures, somewhat dangerous shit. That's the type of stuff that I really think would develop you. Now, if you couple that with like an hour, even 30 minutes a day of reading, of watching content like this, I think that's the best case scenario. I would rather have you major in like a physical activity, like fighting, weightlifting, powerlifting, whatever, and then minor in an intellectual activity, like reading books, listening to podcasts, creating content like I do. Like my sort of, my life's work is like this kind of content that I make for young men. But it only takes like 5 to 10 hours a week. It doesn't take too long, right? So it's almost like a minor thing that I spend my time doing. I would rather you choose major in something physical and minor in something intellectual, making sure that you're not skipping the intellectual thing, but just that you're only doing like 5 to 10 hours a week of like, or let's say up to like 20 hours a week, like part time, of, for example, creating some content where you're teaching people things, you're watching maybe some educational courses, you're watching educational podcasts, listening to audiobooks, reading books, journaling. Maybe you do that for a maximum of like 10 to 20 hours a week, but more like your full time job is like 40 hours a week. You're fucking in the gym. 40 hours a week, you're just fucking training as hard as you physically possibly can. All you do is train, eat, and then sleep. And then you wake up again, and then, yeah, sure, you've got like an hour a day of like sort of reading. Maybe the next day you record a video teaching what you've learned. You're trying to build a business, like a content creation business like I do. I think that will develop you way more than the opposite, which is that your full-time job feels like the intellectual stuff, like learning and whatever, and your part-time job feels like the physical stuff. Like the guys I meet who live like that, a lot of them get really successful, by the way. A lot of them, I've got friends who are rich and whatever, but they're like dogs. You wouldn't want to switch your life with them. Of course, like, you could switch your life with them and then go get into the physical thing. But if you had to be stuck like they are, I'm telling you right now, you don't want to be like one of these dorky entrepreneurs who they're really smart, they're really rich, but then they're just like dorks. Their women walk all over them. They're like not attractive. They're not strong. They've got shit physiques. They've got, they're just not like fucking men you like actually respect. There's just like a fucking nerd who just got fucking rich, basically. You don't want to be that guy. I'd rather, for example, you make, let's say, 5K a month, but you're like a fucking G alpha male, rather than you make fucking 20K a month, but then you're like a social autist and you've got this dark cloud above your head. I know some guys like that, right? And it's like they seem miserable. And when people tell me like, oh yeah, that guy's really successful, I'm like, really? I wouldn't have thought so. He seems so fucking sad all the time. And he's got like a shit physique, he's skinny or he's fat, whatever. But it's like, yeah, like he makes good money. But I can tell he's like not a happy person, right? So I would tell you, of wrapping up all the advice I gave you, to fix this kind of issue where we've got a bunch of free time, and in the free time you're finding yourself slipping into like sort of degenerate habits, you need to basically just have like a big grind. And I would suggest the grind being something physical. Like, I think fighting's just amazing for this, just because it's one of the few forms of exercise, like physical fitness, that you can actually do for like, you can do 2 sessions right away when you first start, going up to even 3 if, for example, you sleep really well, the sessions aren't extremely tense on like your joints, whatever, you don't get an injury, whatever. You can absolutely do that. I know some nerd will comment and say, oh, guys, watch out, this advice is really dangerous, Hamza's advocating for overtraining. That's a guy who's never even fucking fought or done fights or whatever. It's like, bro, every pro fighter is training 4 or 5 times a day. Amateurs who've got a fight coming up are training 2-3 times a day. And if you're like a beginner, there's no reason why you can't go at least 7 times a week, like daily, but even twice a day as well. There's no you may as well, bro. I'd rather you overtrain a little bit and you're in the gym culture and you're socializing and you're getting fit, and yeah, you've got a bit of fucking overtraining, you know, your joints feel a bit tender and you're just being careful of some minor injuries. I'd rather that than you only train like once a day or 3 times a week or some bullshit that you're not going to improve in, and then you're still spending all your time at home watching porn or whatever. Do you get what I mean? I would rather you get some negative from overtraining than negative from undertraining, and you're at home watching porn and scrolling on your phone. So you've got like 6 hours free a day, 4 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours free. Put it into something that will turn you into the kind of man that you want to be. That's what the key is. And for most of the guys watching this, I really think fitness is like a really good thing, because the type of guy who watches me, we are like the sort of autistic overthinkers. We're already kind of like the intellectual type of guys. This is why, for example, I still journal almost every day, but I don't really journal in the same way that I used to when I first started, because it would just make me overthink. The same with like writing ideas down on my notes page and thinking about decisions and whatever. I noticed that, like, and you probably saw this with me as well, you know, back in like 2024, I made like a bunch of stupid decisions in my business. I kept on changing the content style, whatever. And I reset like a lot of the success that I had. Like I was making more money a year ago. And the reason why is because I was just like in this intellectual little nerd mode where I had so much free time. So I was just spending it on intellectual shit. Like I was reading a lot of books, like way too much. I was watching all these YouTube videos, Alex Hormozy, those types of people. And then I'm just like, you know, when you're reading and watching stuff, you're supposed to try what they say, and then you try it, and then, you know, it's like you did it a bit wrong, whatever, and you're trying 4 things at once, and then the results aren't that good, and you try something else and something else, whatever. I think guys like us, we don't need to be told to do intellectual shit. You're already like a content consumer. You're probably already like an optimizing little autist. We need to be told more things of like, turn your fucking brain off and go be in your body. Go train jujitsu 2 hours a day, boxing, whatever. Go into the real world. And those are just the sports, I'm telling you. But it might be like gymnastics for you. It might be I don't know. It might be like mobility or some shit, right? It might be stretching, yoga, whatever. I just think choosing the more sort of commonly masculine things will just overall give you a better life. It'll make you feel like a strong man who's respected by other men, who's wanted by women. And I think that's an amazing thing for you to develop. So that's my advice to you. You've got access to Library of Adonis, where, you know, there's a course in here on how to build like your dream physique. There's a course in here for getting into kickboxing, becoming a fighter, and some other things as well. So you've got access to all this for Mohammed, who wrote this post. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can join this. Top link in the description. $37 a month. There's 2,200 members in here who have joined, and they stay inside. And you get like a fuck ton of education in here that you can learn from, like an hour a day. And you get the community that you can ask for advice with and everything. So, yeah. Yeah. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it.